Chag Sameach, everyone. Usually during this time, especially on the 8th day of Pesach, we all come together as a community in order to daven together, to do tefillah together. And the focal point of the tefillah on the 8th day of Pesach is saying of Yizkor, to remember our loved ones that are no longer with us, and to daven in their memory, to say the Yizkor prayers. And this year we won't be able to do that as a community, at least not on Shmini Shel Pesach. And I want to give a little bit of a scope about what we do in Judaism in order to remember a soul of someone who has passed, in order to commemorate our loved ones. Because Yizkor is only one way to do that. Kaddish is only one way to do that. And there are many other ways as well. So I would like to take you into the graveyard. Imagine any Jewish graveyard here in Wellington, whether it be Karori Cemetery, whether it be Makara, and I want you to envision how it looks like. I want you to walk through the graveyard, the big Kvarot, in your mind. And you can see the tombstone of your loved one. You can see the tombstone of people that you cherish, that you cared about, that you do care about, that are no longer with us. And I want you to try to visualize what's on their tombstone. Is it their name? Is it a verse? Is it a melody? Is it their relationship, loving mother, father, grandmother, husband, wife, friend, community member? And I want you to go all the way to the bottom of the tombstone. There's 5 Hebrew letters that are written on every single Jewish tombstone around the world. And you can find them. The letters are Taf, Nun, Tzadik, Bet, Hey. And it is an acronym. It is an abbreviation of a blessing that we say for someone who has passed on. Teheh nishmato, or nishmata, tzurura bitzuro achayim. That the person's neshama should be ever bounded in the chain of life. And that is a blessing that we say. Here in this world, we wish people long life, but for the neshama, we wish them teheh nishmata tzurura bitzuro hachayim. And the origin of that statement is actually David HaMelech, King David, saying to Abigail, it's in the book of Shmuel, V'ayta nefesh Adonai, tzrura bitzro hachayim et Adonai Elohecha. That your soul should be abound in the bound of life, of the life of Hashem. And it is a beautiful statement because the neshama keeps living on after the body is no longer with us. A person is comprised of both a body and a neshama, and when the body leaves this world, the neshama, and the body goes to the ground, then the neshama ascends to the heaven, to the next world, Olam Haba, or as Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto refers to it, Olam HaNeshamot, the world of souls. And in that world of souls, in fact, the soul is alive, very much alive, and not dead at all. The only thing that is dead is the vessel that held that soul in this world, which is the body. So the person may no longer be living with us, but their neshama lives on forever. And so what can we do in order to elevate that neshama? There are many, many, possibly infinite levels of spirituality a person can attain in the world of souls. The closeness a person can get to Hashem. And so what is this blessing that we say about the soul should be bound in the chain of life forever? Essentially is saying that when a soul enters the next world, we want that soul to have everything it wants. And what does the soul want? The soul only wants one thing. The soul wants closeness to Hashem. The soul yearns for spirituality. It is thirsty for that connection to Hashem, that intimate, deep connection to Hashem. And it yearns that in this world, but so much more so in the world of souls. And it wants to be bound in that everlasting chain, in that connection to Hashem, who is the source of life. And so one thing we do for the soul on the Yortzeit, the day of the passing of that person, the vessel that held the soul, is to say Kaddish. And Kaddish is to praise Hashem, to recognize Hashem's power in this world that most things we're not in control of. And we say it in Aramaic. That was the English of the time, was the lingua franca of the time, was the spoken language of the time, Aramaic. And some people, in fact, do say it in English as well in order to better understand it. And that's why we say Kaddish. And it infuses in us the understanding that Hashem is in ultimate control. And also, it helps elevate the soul because we are talking about that person, who they were, the memory, the neshama of that person. And hopefully in heaven they will ascend to yet another level and possibly multiple levels in their quest for closeness to Hashem in the world of souls. However, that's only one of the ways we can commemorate a person, a loved one who is no longer with us. And I would like to take you to essentially the word of soul, which is neshama, nun shin mem he. And that word, rearranged with the same letters, in fact spells out the word Mishnah, mem shin nun he. And Mishnah is possibly the oldest form of the oral Torah that is written down and passed down throughout the generations. And it is the backbone, the foundation of the entire oral Torah that has been expounded upon interpretations, all the way to this very day for over 2,000 years. And learning Mishnah in the name of the Neshama also elevates the Neshama. Rabbi Eliezer Melamed teaches us that on some level, learning Mishnayot is a greater tikkun, is a greater elevation for that neshama than even somebody being chazan and saying Kaddish in their memory. Not to take away, of course, from saying Kaddish, and not to take away of the importance of saying Yizkor and coming together in communal prayer. But there are other ways to do that. And because of that innate connection between Mishnah and Neshama, he actually quotes a verse saying, Shmena lachmo, that the bread will make him be Shmena, which means health. And Shmena, Shin Mem Nun He, is the same letters as Neshama, which is the same letters as Mishnah. And learning the Torah Shebe'al Peh, in fact, in the name of the Neshama, in fact, helps elevate them in their quest for everlasting boundness in the chain of life. And so, what can we do for a neshama today in the days of COVID-19, in days that we can no longer come in communal prayer because it's not safe? One thing we can do is learn together. And that's why this Thursday night, right after Pesach at 8 p.m., we will be coming together for a community Yizkor to commemorate all of our loved ones and do say some tefillot, say some tehillim, and learn together some mishnayot in the name of all the people that we want to say Yizkor for as a community. And at least we're able to do that online, albeit not on the Yom Tov itself, but immediately following the same Yom Tov, that same night, on Thursday night at 8 p.m. And that's what we will do. And many people say Yizkor, especially for one's parents. And usually, the people who stay in the room, as is many Ashkenazi customs, is people who have lost one or possibly both parents. Although we can say Yizkor for any loved one, whether they're related to us by blood or related to us in other ways. But Kibud Av Va'em, respecting one's parents, is a lifelong mitzvah that is relevant whether that parent is with us in this world or has already passed into the next world. One's parents is our direct connection to Hashem. There's three partners in creating any person. There's the mother, there's the father, and there's Hashem, who gives the neshama. And the mother and the father give all the physical attributes, all the genetics, all the psychological attributes of that person, and emotional and raise them. And that is a bond that is so deep that one mourns for one's parent 11 months longer than one mourns for any other of the 7 relatives, even one's spouse. For every other relative, the mourning period, official mourning period, I should say, halachic mourning period is 30 days. Of course, one may have grief for many years to come, but the actual halachic mourning period is defined by 30 days. For one's parent, the halachic mourning period is 12 months. It's a year. It is something, is a connection that is like no other. And many of us who say Yizkor have lost one or possibly both parents. And it's especially important to do something in their names. And that's why we come together as Yizkor. And if we can't do it by saying the actual tefillah in the shul, at least we can do it by other ways, such as learning Mishnayot, learning Torah, giving tzedakah, acts of chesed, acts of loving kindness. And there are many, many ways for us to do something in this world in order to elevate the neshamas of our loved ones. And so my wish to everyone is, as hard as it may be, saying Yizkor in your own personal bubbles, saying Yizkor without coming together as a community, which gives a community support, is to do something small in the name of your loved ones, whether it be a parent, whether it be a sibling, whether it be a spouse, whether it be anybody else who is dear to you and that you commemorate on Yizkor. And to also embrace the relationships, the family members, and the people in your bubble, family or not, that are connected to you and that are living with you today, and to not take that for granted, and to enjoy the connections you have in this world, and possibly this year more than ever. We will take pride in that, take a moment to really deepen our relationships with the people around us, in our bubble and in our wider community. Chag Sameach to everyone, and may everyone have a meaningful Yizkor in our bubbles.